This A.J. Brown thing has been the biggest story in the city all week. He spoke yesterday, which I'm glad he did. We said yesterday during the show he should speak. He should address his tweet and not speak in the media on Sunday after the game. All right, he did that. And I think for a lot of people, it's like, all right, I want to feel better about this. But then after that, he sent out a tweet to Seth Joyner, responding to Seth talking about, hey, I've been here before and handling your emotions and talking about teammates and all that kind of stuff, which Seth obviously dealt with as a player and now as a broadcaster. So when that came up today, Hugh was very strong on it and really frustrated at A.J. Brown for doing that. So, all right, Hugh, you gave your 2 cents. Let's bring the guy on now who the tweet was directed at. Seth Joyner joins us right now on the Midday Show. Seth, how are you today?
Seth.
I'm good, man. I'm late to the party. You know, I kind of got a little notice last night, but I was out. I had some sushi, went to have a cigar, and, then I got in a little late. I slept a little late today, and wake up to my phone is just going bananas and whatnot. It's a little crazy, man. It's amazing, how sensitive, this age of football player is, Hugh, and I find it somewhat comical that you could say something and, they're so worried about the things that you say. And, to me, there must be a level of truth to something I said to move him emotionally to make him respond in such a way.
I mean, yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But I'm going to tell you, Seth, the thing that kind of ran me hot was the old heads and towing the company line thing. And, we've had times where we talk football, and it's different when you talk to guys, no disrespect to anybody else that played the game, because we see things differently, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of times that we see things that could potentially be a problem, but you can't say anything about it because it's not a problem at the time.
Right.
And for him, like, the thing that really ran me hot was we talk about him and the fact that he hasn't had the football. Because as a matter of fact, I've seen some of your broadcasts where you've talked about that and they need to get him the football. But they always seem to gravitate towards the negative aspect of what you're saying. Never say anything about the positive, because we saw this coming. But
well,
you got it.
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
Finish your thought.
No, it's just like it's just unfortunate that that's the world that we live in. We sit here and we try to uplift you, but as soon as somebody says something that you might not agree with, you want to attack them on a personal level. I just don't understand that.
Well, it falls in line with, the new age that we live in as far as, how coaches even deal with players, let alone the media. It's one of those situations, like I played in an era where, you weren't immune to a coach telling you about yourself privately or publicly, because what people fail to realize when they see a coach say something about a player and then the media wants to jump all over it and said, oh, he threw the player under the bus. That coach has already told that player 10 times last week in practice what the circumstances were, what to expect, and what to do. The player got in the game and decided to, do it a different way. And now the coach got to step to the podium and tell the whole world that I got to coach him better. No, the hell you don't. No, you don't. Where's the accountability for the player? Okay? So now we live in this world where the coach takes all the blame for the players not playing up to par and getting the job done. And nobody wants to talk about the accountability for the player, because the coach better not talk about the player in a public sense, because then guess what? The coach is throwing the player under the bus. The coach can't do that. Why not? Why not? If it's his job to coach the player and he's coached the player properly and the coach now is frustrated because the player is doing what he wants to do, you mean to tell me that the coach has to eat that? So now you fast forward. Okay, so that tells me that players today don't like to be accountable. So now I say something in the media, okay, and if it's not positive, then the player gets upset about it. Why? Because in their eyes, they don't see themselves doing anything wrong, Hugh. Mm-hmm. They really don't. When you live that way, when you feel like when somebody tells you something and you can't receive it in the sense that it's been given, then that tells me that's a person to me who oftentimes doesn't get better because they can't receive,
the
positive
criticism
or negative criticism.
Yeah, they can't receive
you got to take it for what it is. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that A.J. Brown ain't a great player. But let me preface it. Let me preface this. Okay. I want A.J. Brown to know that nobody speaks for Seth Joyner. I come on WIP, and WIP doesn't monitor what I say. I don't work for anybody else anymore. I own my own media company. So I say what the hell I want to say, how I want to say it, when I want to say it, okay? So ain't nobody paying me to say anything, okay? I speak my mind based upon my personal experiences, okay? I just want to be clear about that so that he understands and knows that ain't nobody writing my paycheck, okay? Nobody. I work for myself. I'm an independent contractor. Now, next thing. As an old head, I'll take that because I am an old head. But us old heads, Hugh, we've experienced some things that 20-something-year-olds in the National Football League haven't experienced, okay? And it wasn't a criticism. I think that A.J. Brown is one of the most dynamic wide receivers in the National Football League. But I said what I said because I don't care where you stand. What he's doing, cryptically or not cryptically, is not going to change the circumstances and the situation in his favor. You know, we saw in the second half, Jalen tried to push him the ball. He had 2 balls that should have been intercepted. Is it A.J.'s fault? No, it's not A.J.'s fault, okay? But you can't make it about who's at fault because Kevin Patullo's at fault because A.J. Brown runs 4 routes on 1 quarter of the field every damn play, every game, okay? And if I can see that, you mean to tell me the defensive coordinators and players don't see that? There's some plays that Jalen threw bad balls, okay? That's going to happen. But there's also some plays where A.J. runs some lazy-ass routes, okay, and gives the DB an opportunity to make a play on the ball. So everybody's at fault. Can you accept the fault when the fault falls on you and make yourself a better player? That's what me saying what I'm saying is all about. And then lastly, the team is 4-0. But we talking about A.J. Brown. I said the team is 4-0. I'm going full AI on this one. The team is 4-0, but we talking about A.J. Brown not getting targets, okay? One more time. The team is 4-0, but we talking about A.J. Brown not getting targets, okay? That should not be the case. We should be talking about the team. And A.J. should know that sooner or later it's all going to balance out and he's going to get his numbers and it's all going to be good. But at the end of the day, you play a team sport, Team. And the only thing that matters is that the team wins. Because when it's all said and done and it all shakes out, he'll have his 1,000 yards and his 7 to 8 touchdowns for the year, whatever it is. But we're trying to get back to another Super Bowl. And the team is 4-0. But we talking about A.J. Brown not getting the ball.
Seth, when I heard you earlier in the week with the morning show and then your post on Twitter, I took it as when you played, when you were in the same age, around the same age as AJ, you were outspoken. You had things to say. You were a fiery player. I took it as you were trying to almost say like, hey, I've been in, not quite in the same shoes. He was a receiver, you're a defensive player, but you've kind of been there. I know what you're going through. This is not good for the team. Is that what you were trying to express? Like, I've been in your spot.
Joe, 100%, man. Listen, when Buddy Ryan got fired and Rich Kotite came on board, I had zero respect for him. Zero respect for him because he'd already been here a year and I could kind of see through the facade. Not that at 20-something years old I really understood it, but it was more anger because, Buddy had been fired, okay? And I saw what we were potentially capable of, okay? We just needed the offense to come along, to follow along, to get the job done. You understand what I'm saying? And as the season progressed and I saw that fading away and the team falling apart, my frustration, just went, it overboiled. And I said some things about the coaching staff, about, my players, my teammates and whatnot that I have since apologized for, okay? That didn't make any sense because it didn't help the team get better. If the offensive line couldn't block, you think Seth Joyner telling them, to do their damn job that they were going to block any better? You think they didn't want to block better? They just couldn't. And it took years for me to understand that, and years for me to go to those guys and say, you know what, I was wrong. I apologize. I don't want AJ to have to do that. He don't need, and what I realized is it didn't help the team. That kind of stuff divides the team, So now other players have got to answer for what he's doing. The same way with me. Like I was a walking quote. Like they wouldn't even let me get out of my shoulder pads and my helmet in the locker room before I was firing off. You know what I'm saying? So they knew where to come to get the information that they wanted to get. And I'm not saying that that's the situation with AJ, but what I'm saying is I've been in the position that he's in, and it doesn't serve the betterment of the team for him to continue to do this. I understand his frustration. He's a great player, and he wants the football. I get that. But the cryptic tweets, the things, the little innuendos that are said, especially in Philadelphia, because, when you go cryptic like that, what's the media going to do? The media is going to take what you said because you didn't say what you mean, and they're going to add meaning to it for you. They're going to create the story for you instead of you saying what you really want to say. And like I said, it doesn't serve the betterment of the team not one bit, man. It just doesn't. Because guess what? Kevin Patullo got to call better plays. Jalen Hurts got to throw better balls from time to time. And A.J. Brown got to run better routes sometimes, okay, in order for this problem to be fixed. The offensive line's got to play better. All of this is a cumulative thing. And it doesn't serve anybody's purpose for AJ to continue to cryptically say what he say, because in Philadelphia, if you don't say what you mean, they will say what you mean for you. All week long, we're 2 days, 3 days away from the next game, and we still talking about this, man. We should be talking about the Denver Broncos and what kind of problems they're going to create for this.
And how good that defense is.
And how good that defense is, exactly.
We ain't talking about none of that. We ain't talking about none of that.
Hey, Hugh, we need to be talking about, the fact that they're averaging 143 yards on the ground rushing.
And that Bo Nix. Bo Nix balling too.
And the Eagles are giving up, 120-something yards per game. So guess what? They're going to come in here toting the ball, trying to figure out if they can assert the run. And then because the only way that they can be successful offensively is they got to run the ball so Bo Nix can run all that play action stuff that Sean Payton liked to run. We should be talking about this chess matchup that you're going to have between Sean Payton, the play caller, and Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator. Ain't that what we should be talking about?
Yeah, but we ain't touched on none of that.
Nope, not this week.
Listen, that's all I'm trying to say. I ain't trying to demean A.J. Brown in any way, shape, fashion, or form. I got nothing but respect for the way that he plays the game. But you know what, young fella, sometimes you young bucks need to take some advice from the old heads, from the unks, because we've been where you are, and we know what we're talking about. We ain't got all the answers, but there's some wisdom in the years that we've lived that you've yet to live, okay? And when I'm talking to young people, Hugh, it's all about, hey, man, how can I help you not make the mistakes that I made? Because in some instances, I had some people that was trying to tell me and trying to talk to me, but in a lot more instances than not, I didn't have that wisdom there that told me, Seth, you need to shut the hell up, because there ain't nothing that you saying that's going to change any damn thing. Just focus on what your job, focus on the defensive side of the ball, put your focus somewhere else, and just, sometimes you just need to hear that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not so sure there's anybody in the locker room or in that organization that's willing to go to AJ and tell him that.
I'm not sure either, Seth. Seth, well said. We appreciate you making a few minutes to call in and tell us how you feel today. Thank you. And Seth, I'm sure we'll see you soon around here, and enjoy the rest of your weekend and enjoy the game on Sunday.
Have a good one, man.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy myself and the game. Peace.
There we go. Seth Joyner giving us his reaction to all the reaction. We appreciate Seth making a few minutes for us there.